If you're here today, there's something running through your mind that you want to do. There is no reason for you to be here today unless there's something running through your mind that you want to do. How many people here are over 40 years old? Raise your hands. Raise them high. Raise high. Don't be scared. Raise high. There's no, Jesus Christ, this is a young crowd. For the very small percentage of us here that are over 40, thanks brother, there's like 8 of us, bro. For like the 11 of us, look, this is a lot of fun. For the 11 of us, we lived life before this. We were grown-ups already before the internet came. I was 18 years old. I'd lived my life, at least the childhood part of my life, without the internet. The biggest thing that excites me, especially in a mature internet market like here, WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Spotify, like there's so much opportunity and you don't even have to leave your home. There was no building your life, after hours when I was growing up. When you had a job and you had to take care of something, you didn't then start another job because it was late. But now this allows it. The biggest thing that I want to get across in this little moment of this speech is everybody in here is taking this for granted. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, they didn't have this. If you aren't succeeding or attacking your success with this in your hand, then what are you doing? Every single person here has the opportunity to create a profile and a presence online, whether it's yourself or your business or your idea, and the cost is zero. I love when people get mad when Facebook or Instagram's organic reach goes down. I keep reminding them it's free. How many people here are on Instagram? Raise your hand. Over the next year or two, Instagram's reach is gonna go down because more ads are gonna go in. So as you can imagine, I'm so passionate to get you to post 3 or 4 times a day, not once a day, yet everybody overthinks their posts so much because they're so scared not to get as many likes as they did last time. It's true. It's 100% true. The amount of people here who want to post something but retake it 53 times or change the filter or things of that nature, or my favorite move, you post it, but in the first 83 seconds, you don't get enough likes and you remove it. It's a fascinating thing for me to watch because what it speaks to is, in my opinion, people being confused about the game. I view the game macro. I watch most people play micro. You're not in the business of getting likes on Instagram, yet you're pandering to the machine of that. You're in the business of creating awareness for whatever you want. You want people to know what you want them to know, whatever that may be. Business, raise money for a charity, sell something, become a personal brand, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be, that's what you want, yet people get so caught up in the semantics. Listen, what I can tell you from my career is this repeats over and over and over again. In 2006, I started one of the first YouTube shows, period. It was the longest show on YouTube when I launched it. YouTube wasn't even a year old. I sat in front of a camera and I drank wine for 30 minutes and a lot of people watched it. A year later, Twitter came out and I was one of the first people to move on that. I invested because I got smarter at that point, but I also was one of the first people to amass 1 million followers on that platform. Before I did YouTube and Twitter, a year or two earlier in America and many other parts of the world, MySpace had won and dominated, and there were people that won on that platform. If you pay attention to what happened on MySpace, if you pay attention to what happened on YouTube, if you pay attention to what happened on Twitter and then Facebook and then Vine and on and on and on, it's all the same game. In the beginning, if you move quickly, you can get more attention. Most people get frustrated that they aren't first and then they don't go all in because they think they missed it. However, winning on these platforms is a game of being better, not first. Being better comes in 2 ways. This is where it gets very important, my friends. Being better on putting out content only comes out in 2 ways. Either entertainment, right? Or information. If you are putting out content on these websites and trying to grow, you want to succeed and build an audience, You either do information, you know what you're talking about, whether it's painting nails, business, wine, sneakers, hair care, I don't care what it is. You either know or you entertain. Entertainment comes in a lot of ways. This is playing out on Instagram. Entertainment comes in being funny. Entertainment comes in being musical. Entertainment and escapism comes in being attractive, being a model. It all plays. If you're lucky enough to have both, it gets really crazy. But if you do not do one or the other, you lose. If you go look at your Instagram account right now and look at the last 10 posts, my question to you is very simple. Did you post those posts for your audience so they could be entertained or informed? Or did you post it for yourself, for your own self-esteem or insecurities? Let me save you time. You posted it for yourself. The biggest takeaway that you could have from here, in my opinion, is a couple things. Number one, you are very fortunate to live in a country with disproportionate advances on these platforms. When I look at the data of how much attention is on this device and those 6 platforms in this country and the size of this country, it is staggering. This is one of the best places in the world to produce content for YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's one of the best places in the world. See, you did it again. You clapped for yourself. Oh, actually, fun fact, back to this amazing place and the internet and apps. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but I was actually one of the first 5 investors in Path, which was a huge app here for a long period of time before it shut down a year ago. So because I was an early investor in Path, and because this became the biggest market for Path 4 or 5 years ago, I spent a lot of time paying attention to this market from far away. And what I can tell you is this, the beauty of the people that live here, and there's so much, it's funny, there's so much amazingness, in the world that I see, how many people here consume my content? Raise your hands. Thank you. Thank you. So if you do, you have a good sense of me. You can imagine why I love Indonesia so much. All the love and optimism and warmth plays out here. But the biggest thing that I'm passionate about is getting people to be less insecure and care less about what people think, especially their parents, plays out here too. And so for me, it's a really interesting market to look at with trends and how people do things and what they respond to and who they follow and why. And so what I can tell you is, if you are capable to be strong enough internally to start posting on these platforms more truth, more your truth, your truth, you will see a remarkable return on that investment in this market.
So you spend a minute each on those? So basically 3 minutes each, 3 1/3 minutes each, and we're done, all right? How many want to try it, all right? Then let's do it. So before you do, stand up. Shake your body out, and if you're gonna relax, the fastest way to relax is first push yourself to a high level of energy, then it allows you to drop deeper. So find a partner and go, I own ya.
So I'm a guy, I appreciate every facet, every phase, what some may consider to be success, failure, opposition, ups, downs. I appreciate every facet of life, and I firmly believe that life is the greatest classroom, right? And when I encounter situations, my perspective goes to a place of, okay, life, what are you trying to teach me right now? But it wasn't always in that space until the year of 2006, when I was at the University of Tennessee pursuing this dream to go to the NFL, which I soon found out it didn't just stand for National Football League, it also stood for not for long. But when I was pursuing this dream to happen and manifest, in one moment, I lost everything I had been working for my whole life. And the next day when I woke up, my life has never been the same ever again, right? And so when it happened, not only did it alter my life, God stepped in, used the situation to alter my perspective. And so I look at people, situations, places, and things, I view it differently, right? And so I landed in Seattle a couple of months ago around midnight. Right, an amazing thing happened. I land in Seattle, a gentleman picks me up from the airport, and we ride to my hotel, and when I get out of the car, I say to the gentleman, man, thanks a lot, I greatly appreciate it. And he says to me, no problem, I just want to let you know, I'll be the guy that's coming back to pick you up in the morning. I said, okay, great, what time would you like for me to be down? He says 7:15. I said, great, I'll see you then. The next morning I come down, we greet each other, we get in the car, we're riding to the venue that I'm scheduled to speak, and maybe 5 minutes into the trip, I look up and I look in the mirror and the gentleman is crying his eyes out. And I say to him, sir, is everything okay? And he responds, I want to paint a picture for you. He said, my normal job is not in transportation. I'm not a driver. He said, my buddy owns the company. He said, whenever he gets overwhelmed with shifts, he'll call me and say, hey man, can you cover a shift? And usually I'll do it because we do a lot of work with the Seattle Seahawks. And so when I drop a guy off, I'll go on the computer, look him up. Pretty cool experience. He said, so naturally when I dropped you off last night, I went on the computer at my house. I started to look you up. And he said, I saw a video about redirection and I saw a video about perspective. And he said, the reason I'm crying is because I just lost my wife. My wife just died. He said, and I've been living my life thinking, surely there's nothing else that can bring me the passion, the energy, the fuel, the driving force that my wife once brought me. Surely there's nothing else as purposeful as my wife to make me get up and give everything I got to everything I'm a part of. And he said, when I saw the video, it's not that it could replace my wife because nothing could ever replace my wife. He said, but when I saw the video, the amazing thing it did was it altered my perspective and it gave me a new sense of energy. I said, great. I said, man, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, you said you had 2 kids, right? He said, yep. I said, okay, cool. Could you tell me at a basic level, in the midst of the opposition, how did you get up every single day, put one foot in front of the other, go out of the door, carry on in your career, and raise your other 2 children in the midst of the adversity? Can you tell me when you took the blow, you had to absorb the blow, how did you get up every single day and still look at life with some sort of energy and do what you had to do? Right? Because the quote says it. You judge the character of a person not by where they stand in times of comfort and convenience. You judge the character of a person by where they stand in times of challenges and controversy. Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Like everybody is on fire for the Lord until opposition happens. Or when the situation or the circumstances change and they don't get what they expected to get. And so I wanted to understand in the midst of the opposition, how did you get up and how did you carry on and stay committed to your family and to your career? And he said to me, I have to be honest with you. Follow me. He said, my wife had been sick for 30 years. He said she was wheelchair bound. He said the situation in our household had gotten so toxic that every single day we would get up and when we would meet each other in the living room, we would just bicker, argue, fuss, say certain things to each other to the point to where I couldn't take it anymore. And I called one of my buddies and said, I'm leaving. Can I come and stay with you? He said, sure, man, come on. He said, I left. I packed a little night bag. I get to my buddy's house. I get up the next morning. I'm in the mirror and I'm brushing my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, he said he's saying to himself, for richer or for poor. Yeah, we've been pretty poor. For better or for worse. Yeah, things have gotten pretty worse. Through sickness and health. And he stopped, put his toothbrush in his bag, zipped it up. And he said when he looked in the mirror, the conviction said to him, you didn't finish. So you didn't do what you said you were gonna do. You didn't stand in the pocket how you said you were gonna stand it. You didn't be the man that you told her you were gonna be. You were all good when it was all good, but when things started to go south, you weren't the man that you said you were gonna. You didn't fulfill your promise. And he said the conviction took him right back to his home, and when he walked in the door at his home, his wife was sitting there in the wheelchair, and as soon as he walked through the door, she said, what are you doing here? And he said she started giving it to him, and he said to her, I deserve it. Get it out. Say everything you gotta say to me. And he said when she finished, he told her, I just want you to know I'm never leaving again. I'll never go anywhere. Right? No matter how tough it gets, no matter how rough it gets, no matter how bad it gets, I just want you to know I'm gonna stand in the pocket and I'm gonna be here as your husband. I said, can I ask you another question? He said, sure. I said, if you can go back, shift the situation, change anything about it, what would you do differently? He said, it's easy. He said, I would have shifted my perspective and I would have embraced the opposition a lot earlier. He said, because the moment my perspective shifted, not only did my disposition switch, it shifted my whole household. He said, the funny thing is, because of our perspective, we didn't view the opposition as opposition anymore. We started to view the opposition in adversity as an opportunity. I said, bingo. I said, because I'm a firm believer that perspective drives performance every day of the week. How an individual view what they do will always affect how they do what they do, right? The amazing thing about it is I love the game of football, right? I loved everything about it. I was a part of something to where I can inflict violence and not get in trouble for it. Sign me up every day of the week, right? I loved every bit of it. But I understood very early that the game of football was kind of like this stage. It was a platform that God had provided for me to cultivate a certain level of excellence and greatness so that one day when I could no longer play the game, it was certain things I could extract from it to apply to other areas and aspects of my life to make me somewhat of a decent human being. And so the most amazing thing about it was I had a coach, I was just texting him backstage. He changed my life, right? When I was coming up inner city Atlanta, born to my mother at 16, in a 2-bedroom home with 14 people. And I had this dream to go to the NFL, but I didn't have the resources, and I was stuck playing tackle football in the street. And I saw a guy that paid for not only me and my 3 cousins, he paid for kids all across Atlanta, and he didn't want anything in return. And one day when I got the opportunity to ask him a question, because he had to drop me off at home after practice, and my mother was working a double shift at Wendy's. And I'll never forget, I got out of his truck, and my house was 125 Warren Street at the time. And when I got out, I said, Coach, man, I really appreciate it. He said, all right, Inky, I'll see you tomorrow. I said, can I ask you something? I said, sure. I said, why do you do what you do? And he opened his door, got out of his truck, walked around, stood directly in front of me, and I'll never forget, he said to me, son, I'm gonna share something with you, and I don't want you to ever forget it. He said, as long as you can make sure that somebody else's life is okay, he said, son, God will always make sure that your life is okay. And he got in his truck and he left. And so it was hard for me to understand when we played the game of football, how could an individual be a part of an institution and not give everything they had to it if they were doing it for the glory of God? It was hard for me to understand how, if a person had somebody that they loved and they cared about, how could they not push them to get the best out of them if they were doing it for the glory of God and they viewed it in a certain light? And so when I got to the University of Tennessee, I'm gonna be honest, it was Mayberry for me. I was like, man, y'all get smoothies. Like you get steak, shrimp, and spaghetti. Like guys today are spoiled, right? They got their own barbershop, right? They got AC in their lockers, right? They got nap pods. Pods where they could be walking and stop and take a nap. Pods, nap pods. Listen to me for a moment, nap pods. Where they could just be walking and it's like a nap pod. You're tired, you could go take a nap. Nap pod. It blows my mind, right? And I had 2 meetings, and in these 2 meetings, the job of the meetings was to get a sense of direction of what I wanted to accomplish. And so in one meeting, I said, okay, I want to graduate in 3 years, and I want to go to the NFL. They said, well, Inky, you didn't just knock out your testing. I said, I get that, but I really want to help my family. And we had a scrimmage, and I'll never forget our first scrimmage, and I was so excited, I was so hyped. I'm an undersized guy. I'm passionate about the game. I want to give everything I got to it. I have a great scrimmage, right? I'm talking trash. I was a big trash talker, right? Clean trash, but I was a big trash talker. And our chaplain, who now works with the Tennessee Titans, James Mitchell, was present. And when we broke it down and we were walking off the field and I was carrying my pads, and he said, hey, come here. And I jogged over to him and said, hey, man, how you doing? He said, I want you to meet me in my office in the morning. You talking a little crazy. I said, all right, cool. And the next morning I go to see him and I sit down in his office. I said, hey, man, Mitch, how you doing? Like, hey, man, I'm great. I said, what's up, man? What's the meeting about? He said, I want to disciple you. I said, what is that? I said, that sounds hard. He said, yeah, I want to disciple you, like spiritually. I want to go deep with you. I want to help you develop. He said, like when you have meetings with football, like position meetings, I want you to meet with me prior to the meeting, and I want to be able to give you homework, and I want to make you sacrifice and abstain for certain things. I want to help you develop spiritually. That's what discipleship is. I want to go deeper with you. I said, okay, can you give me a second? I want to go talk to my roommates and see, can they do this with me and walk with me, because I want a certain level of accountability. He said, yeah, go talk to him. I go talk to my roommates. At the time, it was Gerard Mayo, who went first round 10 pick to the Patriots. Now he's the Patriots linebackers coach. It was Robert Ayers, who went first round 18 pick to the Denver Broncos. It was Ramon Foster. He's starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers still until this day, and he went free agent. He's been starting for him ever since he got in the league. And I went to him and I said, hey man, here's the deal. He wants to walk with us spiritually. Are you guys down? He was like, yeah, let's do it. I said, I get it. We want to be great athletes, but I think we want to be well-rounded as men as well. And this could be really beneficial, and we can hold each other accountable. When one guy gets weak, another guy can step up and help him out. Can we do this? It was like, yeah, let's do it. Right? In the first meeting, we tried it just to see how serious he was. He gave us some homework. We showed up to the meeting. None of us did the homework. He had us look up some scripture. We walk in and we sit down. He was like, you got your work? We were like, nope. He was like, get out. He's like, come on, man. Like, let's go through the lesson. He's like, no, get out. And when we walked out, I'll never forget, Mayo said, oh, he wasn't playing. I was like, no, he's not playing. right? And the next meeting we showed up and we had everything. We would be in the complex at 4:30 in the morning, going over scripture. We'd be in the complex at 4:30 in the morning with our Bibles open, and Mitch was challenging us. We'd be in at 4:30 in the morning, and he was talking to us about abstaining from sex. We'd be there at 4:30 in the morning. He would be talking to us about different challenges and how to lead our teammates.
No matter who you are, no matter where you are in life, you can take the lid off of your job. And if you're wondering if you still have the lid on in your life, here are some clues that's going to let you know that the lid is still on. If you're not excited about waking up in the morning, if you're sitting around bored out of your mind, if you got time to do everything anybody asks you to do, you probably got the lid on. If when you tell your dreams to all your friends, it makes sense to them, you got your lid on, man. Your dreams should not make sense to everybody. You got to say something that make people go, how you going to do that? That's when you got the lid off. And if I were you, I'd do that. I'd take the lid off. Makes sense to me, don't it? I mean, look, in show business, that's all the time. You could come to work one day and they just say the show is canceled. What can you do? So what I've done is I've produced so much content. I got radio, I write books, I write movies, I do TV shows, I host TV shows, I got a game show, I do a Facebook watch show. I do so many. So when they come and they cancel something, I don't really give a damn, because I got 8 more jobs. You know what I mean? I've just managed to stack. And then I'm always prepared. I prepare for what's coming. Here's the deal. Change is inevitable. So here's what's going to happen. No matter what's going on in your life, is not permanent. Everything is going to change. So there's 2 things you can do with change. You can react to it or you can participate in it. It's going to change anyway. So if you keep waiting around, you're going to have to react to the change. And now you're behind. But if you participate in the change, if you know the job you have is not going to last forever. I'm just telling you. COVID proved that already. Where you go to work at every day, that's going to change. COVID proved that already. Your best laid plans has changed. So what you got to start doing is you got to start anticipating that it's going to change and just start living your life with the preparation for change. No matter what you're doing, you could be doing more. Remember that. It's 24 hours in a day. You got to use as many of those hours to prepare stability for yourself as you can. I said it online, I got in a lot of trouble. If you sleep 8 hours, you're not ever going to be rich. If you have any dreams of being rich, you cannot sleep 8 hours a day. It's only 24 hours in a day. If you sleep 8 hours, that's a third of your life. How can you cannot be asleep a third of your life and become successful. You can't. People got mad at me. They're talking about Steve Harvey prefers wealth over health. No, I'm just telling you, if your ass wants to hit it and be rich, you got to quit bullshit. You got to get your hustle and grind on. You can't sleep 8 hours. Well, how much you sleep? I sleep between 4 and 5 hours. If I get 6 hours, woof, I'm tired. Plus, I'm old. I got to get up. I want to see what today is. I can't miss nothing. Now, I'm old, man. I'm 64 years old, so I can't be laying in the bed waiting. I got to get up early. I'm up for the sun come up every day because I just want to see what else God got for me. He done gave me a lot. Might as well go see the rest of it, right? You can't see it sleep. So I've always prepared myself for what this business is. And for the first time, I've actually thought about retiring. This is the first time I've ever thought about retiring. So now I want to come home. I'm coming to Africa. The one thing that I have learned to relate to all of my children is to dream. There is nothing bigger than your dream. Nothing is greater than your dream. Now, as we sit in this great educational institution, I am not saying that your education is not important because it's tied to a lot of your dreams. But let me tell you something. There ain't nothing bigger than your dream. Because your dream will propel you to get the education. Don't you ever stop dreaming. Don't you ever stop imagining. And we're going to talk about them two things a lot. But don't you ever stop dreaming. Your Bible says a man without a dream or a vision shall perish. That's in your Bible. It ain't just in the one I read. Nowhere in there does it say without an education you perish. But it says without a dream or vision you perish. So if what you're dreaming about requires an education, It is then your dream that propels you to get the education. But the dream is bigger than anything, man. See, if it was an education that caused you to be great or successful, I ain't here today because I don't have one of them. But nobody could outdream me. Your dream is everything, man. It's the biggest part of your life. Look, man, it is that thing that God puts in you that don't let you sleep sometimes. It's your dream. It's that thing, that part of you, man, that wakes you up and stirs the very pit of your soul. I've always taught my children to dream. The secret, though, the secret to real success is if you tie your gift to the dream.
Whatever position you find yourself in today, we put ourselves there by a series of thoughts and actions. Thoughts turn into things. That's very important to know. So let's look at both sides of it. For people who think negative thoughts, it turns into negative things. And the direct opposite is true for those who think positive thoughts. It turns into positive things. That's the deal. It's as simple as that, folks. Thoughts become things. So the one glaring question for all of us always is, on a daily basis, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Because this is a fact of life. This is biblical. This is spiritual. This is written. This is philosophical. This is the law of the universe. This is just the way it is. Now, and here the cold part, folks. It don't matter if you believe me or not. It does not matter if you have never been explained this or not. And it does not matter if you think it works in your life or not. It don't matter. Listen to me. It is the way it is. It's just whatever. It's the law of the universe. You call whatever you want to call. However you got to dress this thing up, because this all it is. So when I say that you are where we are today because we thought ourselves here, oh, you best to believe that's true. You thought yourself here. No one else. See, let me explain something. I got people around me who so badly want to take credit for it. Every man in this room, you blew your 20s. You spend all your 30s trying to make up for your 20s.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Dog, every dude in this room blew their 20s and at 30 trying to fix what they should have did in their 20s.
Yeah.
And so forth and so on. You turn 40, you're trying to recover from the mistakes you made when you're 30. Now at 40, man, it's time for you to start. Really, at 30, you need to start buckling it on down. And just realize, man, everybody make mistakes. And if the mistakes you're going through are going to help you become the person you need to be later on.
Steve Harvey.
All them mistakes, dog, they cool to make.
Yeah.
I needed to mess up every marriage. I needed to get arrested like I did.
Yeah.
I needed to get shot. I needed all this, dog. I needed to be homeless. Yeah. I needed all them things to happen to turn me into who I am today. So when you're young and you make mistakes, don't let them eat you up. Because everybody that done made it, done made them.
Yeah.
You got to fail in order to win. Hey, look, man, to understand how to hit the game-winning shot, you got to miss the game-winning shot. First of all, you're talking about stuff that I can relate to like so many others can relate to. I mean, you know, everybody got the same story. We just got different details. But like I always say, life is 10% what happens to you, is 90% what you do about it. See, we're going to dive into a chapter from my new book, and it's chapter 1, section 1. This is very clear for people. So the first step is getting completely and brutally honest enough to say, I am tired of myself. When you say I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's the facilitator of change. That's when you're ready to say these words, no more excuses. No more excuses. I went to Kent State, I dropped out. I didn't drop out, I flunked out. Now that threw my life into a spiral, but because I didn't have a college degree, I could not let that stop me. And like you're doing, where you're saying, all my friends at this age are settling in your careers, you don't even know if they're happy or not. Stop comparing yourself to others.
So the first thing you do is stop focusing on other people. Instead, focus on being the best version of you that you can. Then you'll recognize that you deserve to sit at the big table with everybody else after you become the best that you can be. Now, once you've accepted that you have as much right to success and much right to succeed as anybody else, the next step is learning how to talk the talk. You have to get fluid in the language of success so you speak it with ease. Surround yourself with people who've accomplished their dreams and immerse yourself in the culture of achievement. You know, you got to be tough because the road to success is always under construction. It's never a clear path to success. The people who become successful are the people who have a relentless attitude. And you just got to hang in there through the bad breaks, because the bad breaks is coming. But they usually come right before the big break is about to happen. You get a series of bad breaks and it stumbles up a lot of people. My life and my success is to say to anyone, you can stumble, you can fall, you can get back up again. And like I've said before, we each have a gift. But too many people miss out because they refuse to sign the lease on their gift. You keep looking for it outside of you. Stop. Sit with yourself. What is it that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort? That's your gift. But if you are constantly looking outside of yourself and you don't latch on to your gift, you will never find your purpose. If you want to succeed, you must commit to your own gift and embrace it.
Well, same advice I give to my kids, man. If I could get them to understand the importance of their 20s. Because, man, you know what I did? I just blew my 20s. I ended up spending all of my 30s fixing what I messed up in my 30s. I spent all of my 40s doing what I could have been doing in my 30s. I looked up, man, I had let too much time slip away. If you could get young people to get their foot on the gas pedal in their 20s, because right now they think going out is everything. And I keep telling them, man, you're gonna outgrow that in a minute. Because, you know, like at this age, it's when somebody says, hey, we're gonna go out to a club tonight. What? Go out to a club? Are you kidding me? It don't make no sense to you, man. Because you're over that. But it takes a minute for them to understand. It's sad. I wish they did. I wasn't clubbing in my 20s. I didn't know how to make a vision board. I didn't know how to. What really changed my life, man, was I got in Amway when I was about 24. I got in Amway. And that changed my life, man, because the first time ever, they introduced me to self-help books. And I read 2 books that changed my life. It was The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale and The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. I read them books and it changed my life. But it also made me remember what my mother had taught me, because she was a Sunday school teacher, because all self-help books are Bible-based. Everything comes from the Bible. All of the self-help books, that's Proverbs. That's all it is. A book of wisdom and understanding. If you could read that, it'll change your life too. Sometimes you need regular books where you can relate to it differently. But it's all comes from the Bible. It's like a great book is The Secret. But if you read The Secret, it's all Bible verse. It's just based on the Bible. You can't think of nothing new how to tell a person to succeed without the Bible. You can't. It doesn't work that way, you know. So a couple of books changed my life. The Magic of Thinking Big was huge. It just taught me one simple principle. It don't cost no more energy to think big than it does small. You can say Volkswagen and you can say Rolls Royce with the same amount of effort. You ain't got the grunt to say Rolls Royce. So if the Bible is true, which it says a man is as he thinketh, if you think poor thoughts, you got to be poor. The moment you change that thought into wealth of riches, you start the process to becoming wealthy or rich. It's not a math trick. It's really how it works. People complicate it. You got to do this and you got to do that. But Bible's pretty plain. They ain't got no loopholes in it. Really don't. It's just real simple. It say what it say. All you got to do is believe it's talking to you. That's what it is. Most people don't think that God is talking to them. that I come to give you life and give you life more abundantly. You don't think he talking to you? He'll give you life more abundantly. He do. He really will. You ain't got to be rich to have an abundant life. Sometimes you just need to be healthy, happy. You know, you could be really happy, man, making $70,000 a year. You really, really can. You don't need a few million. I did, but you didn't need a few. It helped me a little bit. But to be honest, it didn't make me happy. Until you need God. I ain't ministers. Just turn up the hood, just practice. You go to church and hear you. Come on, Father. Pastor off and say, if you don't believe me, you ain't got to. But I can take a sentence or a thought and make it common. Now, one dude told me once, yeah, well, I hear you said it was hard, but you ain't funny to me. I ain't got to be funny to you. You've never bought a ticket to see me. No, I haven't. I still made it. It doesn't matter what nobody else thinks. What they got to do? I don't think you're funny. Listen, let me tell you something. If you can think of something to get $10 for, I bet all of you have something that God has gifted you with that you could convince somebody to give you $10 for. I'm going to show you how to become a millionaire. All you need is to have one thing that you can get $10 for. I don't care if it's cutting hair, cutting grass, painting, babysitting, typing papers, walking dogs. I don't care what it is. Just get somebody to give you $10. All I want you to do is do it and get $10. After you get $10, I want you to do it 10 more times. That's all. You have $100. When you get that $100, whatever you did to get the $100, I want you to do it 10 more times. You're going to have $1,000. Now, get a little tricky now. Whatever you did to make the $1,000, listen to me close. What I want you to do is do it 10 more times. That's what I want you to do. Don't change shit. Just do it 10 more times. You'll now have $10,000. Now, there's where you got to start using your faith. After you make $10,000 with this $10 idea, all I want you to do is do it 10 more times. Just 10, whatever you did to make the 10,000, do it 10 more times. You're going to have $100,000. Here's the trick of tricks. Once you make $100,000, you're going to have to hire a few people. All I want you to do after you make the $100,000, same thing you did to make the $100,000, I just want you to do 10. Congratulations. You are a millionaire. That's how it's done. These jokes I'm telling right now, these $25 jokes. My first gig paid me $25. These the same jokes. This just English. I ain't learned how to do this in Spanish or none of this. I just kept telling these jokes in English. 10 more times, 10 more times, 10 more. Till they started paying me $25,000 a night. Then they started paying me $100,000 a night, $150,000, $250,000 a night. I made $500,000 telling jokes in one night. They're the same jokes. I just kept telling them over and over and over and over and over. $25 jokes repeated on a 10-time multiple. You could be a millionaire babysitting. You could be a millionaire doing eyebrows. You could be a millionaire cutting grass. You could be a millionaire as a barber, painting houses. You already have the gift. God has already given you the gift. He gave it to you at birth. You was born with it. God ain't never created a soul he didn't give a birth to. That he didn't give a gift to at birth. You sitting up in here, if you're poor today, it's because you tripping. You just tripping. You done talked yourself out your God-given gift. You done got some funk job somewhere and tried to act like you was happy with it. Now they done furloughed you, now you disappointed. You ought to be jumping for joy. Walk your up the hall, go take your gift God gave you and turn yourself into a millionaire.